When I tell you to name me the present and next generation of F1 drivers, who do you think of? For present drivers, do you perhaps think of drivers such as Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Nico Hulkenberg, Checo Perez, and Valtteri Bottas? And for the next gen drivers, do you think of guys like Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Lando Norris? Well, you're wrong, dummy, since you got them backwards. It is 2026 now, folks. It ain't 2019 anymore. Lewis, Fernando, Nico, Checo, and Valtteri are quite literally the only drivers left from grids like 2014, while drivers like Max, Charles, George, and Lando are currently right now gathering their success and accolades, if not already gotten them. The current generations of drivers are not people like Lewis anymore, it's people like Max, which means who are the next generation of drivers? With people like Lewis and Fernando in their 40s, people like Max and Charles pushing 30, is there even a next generation? Well, duh, of course there is, and in fact, it's about a quarter of the grid right now. But whoa, generation this, generation that, what the hell are you waffling about, aquatic-based bird? For the purpose of this video, I define the generations as drivers belonging to a certain age group where their talents are all relatively similar to each other, and because they're also similar in age and talent, theoretically, when some drivers start declining in their ability, it should be a sign that others will start to do the same soon. Obviously, there are more talented individuals who could go way past their expiration date, but I digress. It's inevitable they will be power crept out of the sport, so who are the next generation of drivers currently on the F1 grid that will force the old guard to retire soon? In my opinion, they are Kimi Antonelli, Oliver Bearman, Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hadjar, Arvid Lindblad, Oscar Piastri, and many more such as Liam Lawson and Franco Colapinto. So basically what I want to discuss is how good are these new rookies? Because we don't want the sport declining in ability now, do we? I'm going to leave out Liam and Franco since, well, to be honest, I don't really anticipate big successes for them as much as it hurts to say, but as for everyone else, we're going to quickly look at their junior careers and dissect what makes them good and what's in store for them. Subscribe if you're new if you want to find hot single young men near you, and let's get to quacking now.
A good weather for a race, but especially for a duck.
Let's begin in the order I said the drivers. So, starting with Kimi Antonelli, oh boy, this one worries me the most since in my time watching junior formulas, I have never seen a driver as fast and as clinical as Kimi. Keep in mind, I saw a bit of George Russell in the junior series, as well as going back to watch races from people like Charles. At worst, Kimi is on their level. Of course, that's just my opinion, but my point is, Kimi is the most talented driver out of the lot of the new gen drivers. So why does he worry me? Because for all the talent he has, he can still fail. If he is not given proper development and support from his team, he could sink just as fast as he rose. It really was a gamble to bring him into F1 at a top team so young in age, since remember, while Max was brought into F1 at 17, he was also at Toro Rosso in 2015, and while Lewis debuted in F1 with McLaren, he had mountains of practice with them. Kimi does not have anywhere near the same practice in a Mercedes car and is not a midfield driver or at a lower team where he can make mistakes and not worry about pressure. Plus, it doesn't help that he skipped F3 and went straight to F2 from FRECA level cars, mind you, and he clearly needed time getting up to speed while others were able to be more lethal. So he's a lost cause then? No, since throughout all these issues just mentioned, there is a saving grace: his determination. Kimi Antonelli is one hungry ass motherfucker. I seriously doubt he is going to allow himself to sink instead of swim. In 2025, his rookie year of the sport in Mercedes, Kimi struggled a lot. The first quarter of the season was actually pretty good, even getting a sprint pole in Miami, but when he entered the European part of the season, he stunk bad. It was mistake after mistake for him, and it didn't help that sometimes he had bad luck to lower his confidence all the more. There was even a time where Albon in the Williams, a car nowhere near Mercedes mind you, overtook him in the driver's standings while George in the other car was working miracles. But after that race, Kimi locked in. I would imagine Toto Wolff told him something that made Kimi understand. He has one shot at this whole F1 thing. He was not hired for nothing. Mercedes could have hired Sainz or even Max, but they went with this 18-year-old kid. Toto had faith in him. Why should he lose it? So Baku onwards, he turned his season around and got 3 consecutive podiums and was at George's level of performance, if not better. So coming into 2026, he now understood that if he just drives the car instead of trying to get good results, the results would come naturally. And as of writing this video, he leads the championship standings with 2 wins and 3 podiums. Of course, he could sink again this season, and a part of me anticipates it since this is his first time being at the forefront. But one thing is for sure, Kimi is here to stay. He has too much raw speed, it's borderline offensive. Plus, his wheel-to-wheel ability has proven to be ultra clean mean and aggressive in the past. Finally, he has such a determination to not win, but to be the best he can, which I think is more valuable. It's a matter of when he wins a title and more, not if. However, if there is a driver that, in my opinion, can't stand toe-to-toe with Kimi and come out victorious, it is Ollie Bearman. Just like with Kimi, I have seen many junior races from Ollie since 2021, and he always left my jaw on the floor. Where Kimi is this ultra-fast driver able to pass people with ease and disappear, Ollie is exactly the same. Maybe he's a tad bit slower, but Ollie does make up for it with some proper overtaking and wheel-to-wheel ability. His most notable junior series win, in my opinion, was his title in Italian F4, where, for a lack of a better phrase, shit all over the competition. At one point, he won 9 races in a row, technically 7 since he got disqualified in the 8th race, and nearly got a podium in every round. And for a bit of subtle foreshadowing of what's in store for F1, Ollie won the last 3 rounds of the championship, and who was on the podium next to him in all 3 of them? Kimi Antonelli, who was driving his very first races in cars. This rivalry is so peak. Anyways, Ollie would then get the call up to F3, where he got 3rd in the standings before moving to F2 for 2023 and staying again for 2024. I don't really have much to say in both of those years, since Prema was quite literally crumbling and Ollie wasn't able to be given the resources to do everything he could, which the F1 teams understood, because Ollie, I should have mentioned, is a Ferrari junior driver, and Ferrari, not wanting to let that cake expire, signed him on to be a reserve driver so he could do a bunch of testings in 2024. But Sainz got the cooties, which took him out for round 2 in Jeddah, and with Ferrari needing a driver, they called up Bearman for a little experiment. Despite it being a Ferrari, it was relatively low pressure, since this is a massive jump and they just want to see how he'll do racing with others. He got P7 and did some clean ass moves too, and was catching up rapidly to 6 of Lewis Hamilton. Considering it was a debut race for him driving a car he has never driven, wow. Ferrari knew that with development, he is a weapon, so he was signed on to Haas for 2025 and even drove 2 more races for them later in 2024 thanks to K-Mag getting arrested for terrorism. Ollie at Haas would be able to drive low-key and just build his experience without too much attention so he could be Ferrari ready for whenever Lewis or Charles leaves. But you know where this is going. Ollie's teammate would be Esteban Ocon, who was a veteran at this point, and he was demolished. Ollie beat him handily in the second part of the season and finished ahead of him in the standings, with this highlight of the year being in Mexico. Ollie looked Max dead in his eyes and said, "Fuck out of my way," and for a while was contending with those guys before getting a P4 result. Ollie is very fast, just like with Kimi, and has such a great overtaking ability that it makes me so wet. If someone is going to stand toe-to-toe with Kimi, it will be Ollie, since these two have too much talent. I hate it. Now, while I have said Ollie and Kimi are the best drivers of the new generation, do not forget the others, since they are so wickedly talented as well, such as a certain Gabriel Bortoleto. Gabby has a very interesting story. Watching the junior series from like 2020 to about 2022, I never really heard his name other than a few races here and there. The potential was there for sure, but he needed something or someone to extract it from him. Enter Fernando Alonso. Alonso has a management company that looks after juniors who have potential but not resources. Gabby was scouted and recruited into Fernando's management in 2022, where now he could start extracting performance thanks to a mentorship. This started to allow Gabby to race even better than before, and when he entered F3 in 2023, he had a plan. Where other rookies wanted to show their hand and be super fast, Gabby thought of the genius solution of just calming the fuck down. He would keep his head low, overtaking drivers effortlessly as they burn their resources, while Gabby cruises at a constant fast pace. This philosophy not only won him the F3 title, but handily too, since despite not taking the most wins, he had the most podiums and just points in general to win the title pretty easily. Obviously, F2 was on the phone for 2024, and signed to the McLaren Academy, he was able to get onto the grid where the mission was the same: stay calm and win what you can. However, there would be more trouble. 3 straight DNFs happened early on in the season, which saw him way down in the standings, but instead of trying to overcompensate, he didn't change his driving, and it paid off. His middle portion of the season was just points after points, even getting a win and a couple of podiums, while Hadjar, who was leading the standings, had sporadic results of either wins or no points. All of this culminated in the final round where Bortoleto or Hadjar can win the title, but in typical F2 fashion, we didn't see a contest as Hadjar's engine blew up anyways. Regardless, F3 and F2 titles back-to-back is no easy feat. Consistency is key, as Gabby likes to remind us, and thanks to the mentorship of Fernando Alonso, he learned how to be ultra fast and clinical when the situation calls for it, all leading to him getting a Sauber seat in F1 for 2025. There is nothing to discuss here. It's Sauber, so while he was able to get a few points and have standout moments like in Hungary, it's Sauber, so he was just nowhere half the time. However, Sauber are now Audi in 2026, and Audi so far have a decent midfield car, and Gabby in all 3 rounds as of riding has been so fast and clean. I anticipate big things are ahead of him, and depending on if he plays his cards right, I do think a title can be won by him and bring Brazil some much needed glory again. Someone who has also been in a similar position to Gabby though is Isack Hadjar, his title rival in F2 for 2024. Hadjar we could practically keep short since much of his story is oddly similar to Gabby's. As for the driving, Isack is very similar to him. Both are cool, calm and collected drivers who know where, when and how to push. However, where Gabby has more outright one-lap pace, I noticed Hadjar, while fast, is more consistent. He excels at extending a stint to its maximum time while not being too slow where he's just a stone. This helped him in the junior series since he was able to get decent results even if he has never won a title before. He was always doing just enough so that he would continue progressing up the ladder and getting great results in the races. I feel like a good example of this was in his debut year of F1 in Zandvoort 2025, where already Isack was having a great weekend by qualifying in 4th. Before the race, he genuinely stayed there. He was able to push his tires and car right when he was getting attacked by the far faster Leclerc and Russell and keep his position, which hey good thing he did that since Lando Norris would die in that race, God rest his soul, and Hadjar would get his very first podium of his career in the V-Car Cash App Racing Bulls, and it's driving like that that has earned him the very cool and borderline mean nickname Le Petit Prost or Tiny Prost. Yes, Isack is like 1 popcorn tall, but his balls make up for 90% of his height. He is so able to smoothly control the situation so well that it's inevitable he will achieve great things in his career. Of course, his biggest flaw is that he is kind of hot-headed, which does fuck him up in the races, but all he needs is a training arc. He will channel that anger into making him a better man than he was before. Gear 2 Hadjar will take the world by storm, mark my words. Approaching our last 2 drivers though, let's start with Lindblad, who we could keep shorter than Hadjar. I say this because not too long ago, I made a video discussing all about Arvid Lindblad and why he is the future of Red Bull in F1. I already think that title says enough, but here's a recap. This guy shows up to races, be fast, and moves on. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he doesn't, but what he gives you is a spectacle. He is a racing driver at heart, which means don't expect an easy time or some 300 IQ driving. Expect him to fight. You overtake him, expect a lunge down the inside. You want to overtake him, expect top-notch defending. Of course, he is still 18 at the time of riding, so his craft still has long ways to go, but should it be perfected, I think Arvid will possess the best wheel-to-wheel game out of all the new gen drivers. Another big, juicy, succulent trait from him is his adaptability. While he hasn't gone on to win title after title like Bearman or Kimi have, what he has done is been able to drive every car he has been given to its limit. Give him any car and I guarantee you in a lap or two, he will drive the thing as if he's a veteran. Even right now in F1, in just his first 3 races, he potentially has a better understanding of how to fight in these new cars and extract the most pace more than his teammate Liam Lawson. Arvid is just one talented guy, which does make me believe he is the future of Red Bull, even more so than Isack. Red Bull are really suffering from the 2 cakes dilemma now. Also, I feel like I should mention this. Arvid is a Macau GP winner, which few drivers in F1 history have done, let alone the new generation. By the way, for those who don't know, the Macau GP takes place on the Macau street circuit, you don't say, and basically, imagine Monaco, but even narrower. It's not an easy race to win, let alone finish with an intact car, so winning that race is usually a sign of greatness. I expect massive things from Arvid in the future, and if you want a more in-depth analysis on everything leading to F1, go check out the video linked below. Haha, I do that now. And finally, Oscar Piastri, who we can keep even shorter than the last 2. I say this because we have all seen Piastri for a while now. He joined the grid in 2023 and already has 9 wins to his name and many podiums. He also notably led the 2025 title standings for most of the season, and even more notably, bottled the fuck out of it, which I don't blame him. I always said he was too inexperienced still. He doesn't have the skill yet to do so, and it was just a matter of time before Lando remembered he was good again. But even still, pressure definitely got to him, since you don't just crash the fuck out multiple times in like 5 races because your teammate got hands now. Regardless, once that experience continues to build, and more importantly resistance to pressure, we should expect absolute cinema from him. He has already demonstrated to be one of the best overtakers on the grid, capable of doing daring moves and somehow not touching the other car, as well as having pretty good one-lap pace. He, much like Arvid, is just a good old racer. races. No funny 300 IQ plays or pushover driving. That man knows how to run rings around other drivers, so I'm expecting even bigger and better things soon from him. However, before we end this video, the new generation doesn't just end now. New gen drivers will continue to come for the next couple of years at least, and it's important we highlight the names that are still in the junior categories, beginning with an obvious one, Freddie Slater. Truly, the worst thing about him is how he's British, since this dude is a winning machine. He's like the best bits of Arvid Lindblad and Kimi Antonelli, highly adaptable, highly fast, just pure win after win. Of course, he is still a rookie, so the odd crash happens here from time to time, but right now in F3, he is doing wonders, and I expect an F2 promotion in 2027. Another big name to look out for is quite literally big, Ugo Ukuchukwu. I say big because the guy is 6'4", which already would make him comfortably the tallest driver on the F1 grid, but where his height should be a nerf, he drives like he's 5'4". Again, his record is mighty impressive, and it makes absolute sense when you watch him drive. He really reminds me of Lewis Hamilton, since when the driver understands the machine he is driving, they are literally untouchable. Ugo currently leads the F3 standings, and like Freddie, it'd be a crime if they are not in F2 come 2027. Just please stop growing. Finally, the last notable name I'll mention is Rafael Camara. Basically, he's a souped-up Gabby Bortoleto. Extreme one-lap pace, clinical driving, and a tendency to not crash and just lock in result after result. I mean, he elevates this past his standing position, since look at his racing record, for crying out loud. I have never seen this many top threes ever, and when you watch him drive, you don't see him. Why, you may ask? Because he's too far out in the lead, it don't matter. And when he is fighting others, it's such a one-sided game based on talent alone. He is currently second in the F2 standings, so again, big eyes on him. These three drivers are ones I am betting your soul on in making it to F1, so you better pray all three make it. You don't want to die now, do you? Anyways, those are my thoughts on the next generation of drivers. My word, man, I don't think it's been a better time to be a racing fan, because even if some of these guys stumble and fail, that just means more gems in other motorsports, and I am here for it. I mean, surely this is the best time in F1 in terms of talent, right? I cannot remember the last time gem driver after gem driver entered the sport. Appreciate it now, because you never know, it'll be back to people like Will Stevens joining the sport, so let's appreciate what we can. Anyways, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the flock for the continued support, and make sure to join if you want cool benefits as well as just helping me out. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, since it really helps me out. Make sure to let me know in the comments what you think of this, and as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.